This is the Be the Solution podcast, and I am Maria Quattrone, your host. Today, I'm super excited to bring back a friend of the Be the Solution podcast and a colleague, Matthew Marinoff with Real Estate Recovery Group. Welcome, Matthew.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm excited to talk to you. So, I have a quote specifically for you today. Here's the quote. You ready?
I'm ready.
The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today.
I like that.
The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today.
Unfortunately, most people don't do that.
Well, we do, and we're going to talk to others today about how they can do that too, by being prepared.
Absolutely.
So the reason why I chose that quote today for you is about being prepared. And as a real estate professional, being prepared means understanding what's happening in the market, understanding the tools that are available in the marketplace. So short sales are something, Matt, that we haven't seen that many of them in the last several years, at least on our side over here.
Right.
And today I want to talk about short sales, how it works, when should agents get involved, what's going on with them right now. So let's start with that. What is going on with the short sales? First of all, are you seeing more of them?
I am seeing a lot more of them. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I think there's a huge awakening during the COVID era. That's what we're going to call it now, where people weren't paying their mortgages over that time span. And some of the people that are getting caught and having to sell their property short now are people that might have exhausted all their loan modification options prior to COVID. They might have partial claims against the property, not explaining to the bank, correctly what had happened during that time frame, on top of the properties that had not a lot of equity in it. Now, COVID drove the real estate prices so crazy that people are overpaying for the properties. And now we're seeing massive repercussions now, especially, I don't know why, but we're getting multiple properties coming in from Texas now where people have over leveraged the properties to the tune of $50,000 to $80,000 more than the property was worth. Now, why is this, I guess, ultimately becoming a short sale? Well, people are losing their jobs, or they have to specific state to go to another state for employment or job opportunity. So I'm not talking specifically just Texas, really anywhere where people were getting into these massive bidding wars. And the casualties we're seeing people that are in trouble from 2022, 2023 from purchasing during, as I said, the COVID era. Now, forget COVID. Let's talk about before COVID, 2019. We were jumping and popping with properties that were in default. Now, maybe it's because I'm on a different side of the curtain. You guys are mainstream, most real estate agents. We are dealing with, distressed homeowners and distressed properties that literally were using their properties like reverse mortgages, not paying their mortgage and eating up their equity. So I don't think it's that people are always like, oh, short sales are non-existent. We're finding them, and they are literally everywhere. They're in pretty much every state. So we have a niche where people are coming to us. So I don't want to correct anybody when they say, oh, short sales are not existent, they're not in our market share. There are properties out there that are sleepers that after 3 months or so, at that point, then the properties will hit the market. But because, everything had happened during COVID, things kind of like took a reset and were slowing down, and they're trying to figure out ways to keep people in their properties. They had the deferments, they had the forbearances, then they had the loan modification. And there's specific things that people don't know what to say to the lenders to try to help them and put them in better situations. So I just want to correct when people say there aren't a lot of short sales out there. They may or may not be short sales. Last year we did about 19 properties where we help people navigate avoiding foreclosure, saving the equity in their properties because these properties were in pre foreclosure going into foreclosure. So there's two things that we're coming across: people that have equity in it, which is totally different than 2005, 2008, when like things were crazy, to now where people have no equity. So there's equity and there's no equity, and there's properties that are in pre foreclosure heading towards foreclosure. And correct me if I'm wrong, but back in the day, you did short sales. You were heavily into it, correct?
In 2009, 10, there was many short sales.
Right.
It
And
took
there
a
were
while for people to accept what was going on, even though there was a big crash that was in the news,
yeah,
Bears and Stern, Lehman Brothers, and
yeah.
all. It happened before that, though. It
There's
started happening.
there's a
Really, the markets shifted in at the end of '06 is when the inventory started to climb.
so there's a scene in the movie The Big Short. I don't know if you ever saw that
I
movie.
did. It's a great movie.
So there's a scene in the movie, and the guy knocks on the front door, and he says, "Is Rufus here?" And the guy says, "No, Rufus isn't here." With a weird look on his face, he goes, Why are you looking for Rufus?" And he says, "Well, he's the mortgage holder of the mortgage." He goes, "Rufus?" He goes, "That's the owner's dog." They actually wrote a mortgage in the dog's name. So it's funny. People are like, "Oh, these things can't happen." A couple of years ago, big banks were getting nailed because they were opening up credit cards in animals' names, or accounts. They're opening up checking accounts and animals' names because they have to meet quotas. What's my point? My point is that people are like, "Oh, well, it's the bank. You can't go up against the bank. The bank's always right." You know, the reality is, it's big business. So when this is the first thing I say to me, well, in the beginning to myself. I tell people, don't panic. I'll let you know when it's time to panic. And the other thing is that if you don't think that in some cases banks act like banksters, like a gangster, like banksters, you're wrong because they really do. They don't have to critique and help homeowners that are in trouble. They have to process. And as long as they process and they do their job, then they're doing their part. But I've seen people lose houses or potentially get ready to lose houses and lose modifications for like 15 cents, a dollar. All they had to do is move a couple of pennies over and they would have qualified for modification. But that's not their job. So I like when big banks are like, "Oh, be leery of third party companies." Yes, be leery. But at the same point, educate yourself. There are so many people out there right now trying to emulate what my team does, what I personally do. And it cracks me up because now they're starting to use my verbiage, they're starting to use my forms, they're trying to basically be me. The reality is they just don't understand the right way to navigate through the short sale process and to be able to, weave, bob and weave when really you need to weave and go into the current. It's kind of like you're in an ocean. You're worried about the undertow. Don't panic so much about the undertow, which is the foreclosure process. Worry more about how you're going to get out of it. Relax your body. Try to figure out which way's up, get your bearing, and then flow into it and see what you can do. And that's the problem. There's so many people in this industry. They're crooks, and they're not making it easy for people. Now, here's the thing: not everybody gets to keep their property because people get a mixed message from those. Oh, do you save people's houses or do you help them avoid foreclosure? I do both. The reality is that if somebody wants to save their house, it is their right. But I will say more times more than ever, people don't get to keep their properties because they've already exhausted all options and they've gotten really bad advice from people. If you could pay your mortgage, pay it. Not paying your mortgage and your bank seeing that you have the ability to pay your mortgage, you're basically telling your bank, I'm committing fraud, right? You have the revenue, you have the income coming in, but you're not paying it. You can't just do that. There has to be a method to your madness. There's to be a means to the ends. And that has a lot to do with your in and outgoing expenses, your profit and loss. And I know that there's a lot of things that I'm probably talking over people's heads because they don't know. This is basically what I do day in and day out. But I think you were going to ask me, how does the short sale process work? Is that correct?
Well, first, I want to know for our listeners, our agents, when should they get you involved?
So I get a lot of, I didn't know when to bring you in. I didn't know how to explain to you the scenario. So there's a form that I put together, and that form is for the homeowner, and it's actually for a third party, and that's on my website. We'll talk about that later. But if you have any scenario where you think something is a distressful situation, they might not be distressed with their real estate. They might just be, distressed financially, but not realizing that they did a loan modification in the past. Meaning, like, oh, I did a loan modification, it's all taken care of, I don't have to worry about it. That might not necessarily true. Maybe you didn't get debt forgiveness. I tell people, if you come across somebody who's in trouble with a property, that are going to go late or they are late, best case scenario, bring me in. Bring me in if you can from the beginning. And the reason why I say that is because we might be able to stop the process before it starts and give us even more time to navigate to see what we can do. One, maybe we can help salvage their credit so their credit won't tank so fast. Two, put them in a better financial situation. Whereas if they know they're not going to be able to afford the property and they're moving, we can contact the lender right away and let them know, hey, look, there's a death in the family. Maybe we can help them get a deferment. Maybe we can get them, a forbearance. Contact you or another agent or whoever's bringing the lead. Get that property listed. Because at that point, when you do stuff like that, that helps slow down the credit process. So there's a lot of things I tell people, but nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants to say, oh, I'm a YouTube educator or I'm a Google expert or whatever it is. The reality is they don't put a lot of that information, the correct information even, out there. So if you have somebody or a scenario that you're not sure, maybe they have multiple properties or maybe they have something in a business name and they have a personal name, or our joint friend has a hard money loan and maybe they signed for it personally. So I say, if you can, bring me in from the beginning, or if you start to smell a scenario that sounds oddly familiar to you or not familiar, bring me in.
So, as soon as basically, sooner is better than later.
100%.
In a short answer, immediately bring them in because we don't know. Maybe they didn't have a loan modification. Maybe you can do a loan modification. Maybe they have a lot of equity, but they can't pay their mortgage right now.
Yeah.
Maybe they have a lot of credit cards and they're paying it towards a credit card because it's cheaper to kind of try to pay down the credit card with the 29% than paying the 3% loan. Who knows?
Right, exactly. Or
All
how
of
to
those.
or how to unlock their equity in their property before they actually go late to help save them. I know credit card debt is out of control right now, and
The most it's ever been. So when somebody doesn't pay their mortgage, is it how many months before something starts to happen?
it's usually it's well, you're going to get warning shots. First 30 days, they're going to call you. They're going to say, "Hey, we missed the payment. Everything okay?" Second month, they're going to call you again, say, look, you're dangerously approaching, foreclosure. And then the third month, they will get ready to possibly send out a letter basically saying, hey, you're, if you go 4 payments behind at that point, you're going to be in foreclosure. We're going to send out a letter basically saying that at this point going forward, if you don't get back on track, you're going to be in trouble. Once you go past like 6 months, you're approaching the point of no return because most of the lenders will allow you to do a repayment option within the first 6 months, but after you go past that, you're done.
Then they file official foreclosure. They're starting the proceedings.
It's usually like 3 months, 4 months. They're going to send out a letter to you saying that we are starting procedures for foreclosure action.
So basically, as soon as they start, they know that there's a problem. Don't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Act. That's one of the things I see, Matt, is like we talk to a lot of sellers, and people are embarrassed and they don't want to tell you all the time the truth. Most
Right.
of the time, we get half truths. So
Correct.
I always say, look, I can't help you if I don't know the information. You got to be able to pull it out of them some way, somehow. Otherwise, they think that they're going to get something over on you by not telling you when if they would have told you to begin with, you could have helped them. And it might be too late.
I'm going to tell you something. When someone says, what's the best way to figure out a financial snapshot from somebody? When you go to a doctor's office and you don't feel good, one of the first things they do is take an EKG, correct? They hook you up to the
EKG, blood pressure, EKG, take your weight.
But normally, like if you go in a doctor's office, you don't feel good. Yeah, it'll be the blood pressure, and I'll do an EKG. To me, an EKG is title. Title is so massively important because most people that go to a doctor's office, they don't know what's wrong with them. Most people that are potentially in trouble with their property may not remember having a judgment from a credit card from 5 years ago. At that point, it might have just been a letter that was sent to them in the mail. Nobody opens up their mail. Those things eventually are going to attach to you and or your property. So if you have a judgment against you, that's something that's going to have to be resolved, or potentially a lien that might be attached to your property, something like the IRS. So these are types of things that we come across all the time. Here's the problem. Most people that are in the real estate realm that we're in, they don't want to run title.
Well, title companies don't want to run title for you.
Well, if you have an established working relationship like we do, we use multiple title companies, they'll run title for us because they know we close. They know at some point something's going to
Of
happen.
course. I'm saying you have relationships. Some of us have relationships, but most of the time.
No, they don't. That's the thing. That's the point I'm trying to make. We have relationships, but most people don't have the relationship.
No, that's what I'm saying. Most don't.
Yeah. They don't know. Like if you're having a stroke, to prevent, they tell you take a bare aspirin, put it underneath your tongue. Most people don't know. Really, what you should do is you should consult with a professional, like a real estate agent, like an attorney. And there's multiple different attorneys that you can reach out to based on the scenario. But the reality is everybody buries their head in the sand. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. They don't know how to convey it. They're absolutely, like you said before, they're embarrassed. So I tell people it doesn't matter whether you have a Chevy Corolla in your driveway or a Bugatti in your driveway. At some point, me or maybe not, somebody would have a financial distress in their life. And everybody's worried about keeping up with the Joneses. They shouldn't worry about that. For me, I tell people a simple one. You can lie to everybody else. You can lie to your spouse. You can lie to your side piece. But you have to tell me the absolute truth, because if you don't, I don't know if I can help you. And if I find out, and this has happened, where people have not told me the absolute truth in the beginning. And I've gotten called out by banks, and they've actually said to me, Matt, are you aware of the fact, actually, Mr. Marinoff, are you aware of the fact that your client um, sent in like faulty bank statements? Are you aware of the fact that he has two other properties, but on the application you say he only has one property? I was like, listen, I'm only going off of what they're telling me. So if you're telling me on a recorded line that they lied to both of us. They didn't just lie to me. So I would try to make it as clear as possible from the beginning. Tell me what's going on, because in that way I could figure out how to help you out of the situation you're in.
So, in regards to the timeline, let's
Yeah.
talk about the time it takes to get a short sale done. So, they engage you, we're engaged, we send them to you, they engage you, you send us the paperwork, it goes up on the market. 3 weeks later, we have an offer. Now what?
I,
We
you know,
send it to you.
normally I would say to you in a perfect world, yeah, that'd be great, but that doesn't normally happen like that. Let's just say if I have a client and I engage a real estate agent and I refer something out, I tell the client this is what we need from you to move forward on our end. And then on the other end, from the listing side, this is what they're going to need from you. About 50% of the time, they'll get what they need for the listing side, but the other part of it, they're like slow getting what we need. We need authorization, my company, to speak with any of the lenders, anybody that's in contact. And it's not a power of attorney, it's not limited power of attorney. It's just a simple authorization form that allows us to speak with anybody that's involved in the financial aspect of it. There's also a packet of information that we need filled out. People sometimes are so lazy about that. I'm telling you this because it slows down the timeline of the process. I could lose 30 to 60 days just for not getting what we need from the homeowner correctly. So
We're
you could
oh
put
we
what's that?
we know all about it. It takes sometimes blood, sweat, and tears to get a seller's disclosure back.
Right,
And I hold the listing hostage, meaning it doesn't go active. It'll sit in coming soon status until we have that seller disclosure.
right,
So we're aware of the way that consumers behave and how slow some are to act. And I look at it just like human behavior.
right.
So how you do one thing is how you do everything.
The reality is, and nobody's ever corrected me on this, when you're in a situation of financial disaster and a potential disaster, and you're used to having amazing credit, and little by little, it's like a crack in the dam. And now the dam is exploded and it's wide open. And now, like, everything has just gone to shit. Now your credit is just tanking. It's almost like they get to a certain point and they're floating in the water and I go, oh my God, this isn't so bad. I had amazing credit. It was such a stress to pay my bills every single month. I paid my mortgage payment. Woo, this is fun. They get complacent. So reeling them back in and saying, guys, you haven't paid a mortgage anywhere from 3 months to 10 years. I got to bring you back down to reality now. So the start of it is get Maria the paperwork she needs, get me the paperwork I need so we can move forward. You will get a lot of people that are like, my credit's already shut anyway. But let me tell you something. If you have a property and that property goes to foreclosure, instant death for your credit. You'll have a foreclosure for a long time in your credit report. Some people file bankruptcy to prolong the process of losing the property, but nobody thinks about the repercussions of all of that. Now you got to go rent. Who the hell's going to rent to you? Nobody's going to want to rent to you. They're going to want anywhere between 3 to 12 months of the first year's rent payment up front. And legally, they can ask that. You are a financial nightmare. Nobody, and you can say, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll pay for it. I'll make sure everything's. But if you look at your credit track record, they don't want you. So I tell people from the beginning, we're going to get you back on track, but you got to want to get back on track. You're saying you want to do a short sale on your house, but let me tell you what's entailed in doing the short sale on the house. So make sure you get us what we need, because what's going to happen is we're only going to ask 2 or 3 times. And if you don't get us what we need, we will close the file out. and I don't care who that upsets. But who wants to go after somebody chasing? If I only had 10, 15 files, it'd be a different story. But we're working with a massive database of properties of people that are in trouble that want help. I want to work with the people that want help. Nobody wants to chase somebody for ultimately for them to for the property to go to foreclosure, and now you wasted all that time for no reason.
No doubt. It's the same thing, just in general, in any business. Chasing people. I always say the more you have to chase, just that they agreed. Here's the thing: when they've agreed, and then you need to chase them to actually sign the paperwork that they need. In our case, a listing
Mm-hmm.
contract.
Yeah,
It's like, great. This is how the whole thing's going to be. No,
yeah,
no, thank you. I
exactly.
actually, after a couple weeks, it's not signed. I tell the office to cancel out the DocuSign. I said, just withdraw it, cancel it out, because this is how it's going to be the rest of the way. And time's money, and we don't have time for this. We want to help the people that want to be helped,
Yeah, no, I agree, 100%.
period. This game of cat and mouse, go play it with somebody else. That's the honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to be the solution. We can't be the solution if you're not going to do your part, regardless if it's the short sale, whatever, you know, working to get the taxes fixed, the tax abatement. Oh, I love when I refer somebody to somebody and then they don't get back to them. They're like, oh, they never got back to me. They begged me for the referral. Like,
Mm.
beg me, please, I need help. Can you find this person for me? I go, I have this person. I have the referral. And then I asked my referral partner, hey, Dave, did they call you? Nah, never heard from them. I'm like, anyway, so we give you the paperwork. We have an offer. How long is it going to take to get this thing done?
If everybody gives us what we need in a timely,
Assuming you have all.
if we have everything, a short sale really shouldn't take more than 3 months to get completed. It really shouldn't. If everything is aligned, you have the paperwork, you have the evaluation, if you have to do a dispute on the property, if an evaluation has run out on the property, because remember, sometimes these properties have already been reviewed by someone else, so they might have to do another value on the property, and they won't do another.
Assuming none of that happened. Brand new one.
It should take 3, 4 months
From the time of agreement of sale.
from getting everything in place, going through the paperwork, getting it listed, getting an offer, moving forward. If it's a very vanilla if situation, it should take 3 months, 4 months.
In totality then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're working with the short sale expert. Matt, you got an event coming up.
It's not necessarily an event, it's an online training portal. This is something that, for me, I've been working on, or something that I've been creating or tossing around forever. You go to these live events, you spend a tremendous amount of money. You do airfare, you do hotel, you do food, you do car transportation, whatever it is. I'm making it so the portal will be 100% pure educational on demand. Learn at your own pace, go back. It's yours for life. And there's going to be multiple modules in there. My cheat sheets that I wrote down on little pieces of paper for years, ultimately put into the portal itself. And I'm excited about it because this way people, maybe they don't want to do the short sale, but they want to understand how the short sale process works. And it's, for me, this is something that it's a necessity. It's a need because I'm coming across older agents that are seasoned and new agents, and they think that a short sale is an REO. And you know as well as I do, REO is real estate owned. So it's everything in one place to help people be able to figure out how to navigate and understand the true process and how a short sale works.
What's the website name?
So the website is Your Short Sale Success.
Your short sale
Yes,
success.com.
yourshortsalesuccess.com.
Awesome. And when will it be launching?
So it's live now. We've been doing a lot of testing with it, beta testing. It works. We're getting testimonial videos for people right now that have gone through the class itself. I wanted to make sure everything was 100% beautiful before we did an actual serious launch. You're going to start seeing it pop up all over the place, hopefully, on the internet very soon. So
Awesome.
hopefully people,
Yourshortsalesuccess.com. You go there to get all the coaching you need for short
if
sales, how to navigate them for agents and for consumers, right?
if a homeowner wants to understand how the short sale process works, it would be an amazing tool for them. If really any type of real estate professional wants to understand how the process works, then yes, it would be an amazing tool for them. Can you be able to do a short sale after going through the portal? Yes. Will you be as experienced and well versed as myself? No. But it will give you the leg up that I didn't have when I started in the industry 20 years ago. It will catapult you into years, many, many years past where I was with the experience and understand the information and the knowledge that's needed to
Wow, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on getting that up there and
appreciate
getting
that.
that done. I know what a huge feat that is to get online coaching and training done. So we're in the process of that now.
Yep,
So that's awesome. Congratulations on that, Matt. Thank you for being on our show today. Be the Solution podcast. You are the short sales solution. So look forward to getting these deals we have with you to through the system and to the table.
absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate you.
Always. You too.